Now we want to go to Father Peter Donahue, a Villanova president. All right, Father, this is a crazy moment, and I want to ask you this. Ever in your wildest dreams, did you think that one of your mathematics and science grads from 1977, Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, would go on to become the first American Pope?
Not in my wildest dreams. No, I never expected it. And I have to tell you that the entire Villanova nation is celebrating this moment. It's an unbelievable event for all of us, and for the American church, and for the church at large. He's a wonderful man. He's 2 years behind me in formation, so I know him, and he's a wonderful person, and a great selection, and we are so ecstatic. But it's overwhelming. It really is.
Have you lined up this year's commencement speaker? May you consider sending him an invite?
Yeah, we have commencement next weekend, so it's. But I thought, well, maybe next year I can get him to come over. I don't know. Well, it would be a monumental event in order to do that. But we'll try our best to get him to come to campus someday. So
what do you expect from him? He is, the conclave is they say it's the. It's kind of an evaluation of the Pope past. Where do we want to go from here? Do we want to go in the same direction as the last Pope, or do we want to move into a different direction? I know it's, God is speaking through these cardinals, but there's also men involved as well. What do you think of the decision to take somebody who is more in the Francis mold as the next Pope?
I think that for the church itself, and it really is progressing forward. I mean, there's always, when we speak about the spiritual journey moving, it's always a movement forward. It's never moving backwards. And I think that the church is always sees itself, although at times it takes a long time to do it. But, the road to God, the road to being a part of God's kingdom is really moving forward. And so to select a gentleman, Leo the 14th, I'm going to have to get used to calling him that, is really a movement of the church to say we need to continue to move forward. I'm sure you've heard, many of your commentators have probably talked about who Leo the 13th was, but he was really the Pope at the turn of the century, at the turn of the 1900s, that really was looking at, the church has to be more progressive, and the church has to continue to move forward, but our faith has to continue to move forward. And so I think he will really be an individual who kind of pushes us to continue that journey forward. And I think it's very exciting. His experience in ministry has been one of missionary work. He's worked in Peru for many, many years. He's been in administrative roles, but he's also been with people, and he has seen poor and rich alike, and he has seen what it means to journey together as Christians in this world. So I'm looking forward to what he's going to do.
The Catholic Church has had a tough few decades here in America. There's a certain amount of broken trust with the sex abuse scandal, financial issues. The church has paid out a lot of money. And the membership in the Catholic Church has declined here in America, in the USA, over the years. What does the church need to do in order to win back those who have strayed?
I think for one thing we need to do is, first of all, ask forgiveness. We're very quick to say forgiveness needs to be offered to people, and we need to ask people for it. Forgiveness for any way that they've been hurt or injured in any way, but also to open the doors and welcome people. The church is for all people. It's a place that all can be united in, and I think it's a matter of really, first and foremost, listening to people, listening to where they are, what they're doing, what their pain is, and what their joy is as well, and being able to celebrate that with them, or also being able to reconcile it with them. So I think the church needs to continue to be a place that opens its doors to listen to people and welcome them into where they are in this journey towards God.
You talked about how the appointment, the election of Leo the 14th is a nod to how we in the world are all moving forward. The church is moving forward. Are there any reforms or changes the church that you believe should make or could make to make it to build back that trust, or to make it so that there are more men who join the priesthood? I mean, would it be getting rid of the vow of celibacy or allowing them to marry? That's been talked about.
You're asking me some very touchy questions. And I really don't know where Leo XIV would stand on some of them. But I think one thing that Pope Francis did, I think we certainly have to examine the role of women in the church.
Yeah.
How the church invites women to leadership positions, invites women. And Francis started some of that. And I think that's something that we have to continue to explore and move forward with. Certainly, I think, the call to celibacy, the call to being is something that wasn't necessarily part of the church from the very beginning. That rule could change in time. And that would take some talking about people much above my pay grade, let me tell you. But it's those are issues that I think everybody needs to, and the church particularly needs to really explore and find out what we're doing and how we're doing it, and where we are as a people.
Father Donohue, I thank you for answering my tough questions, and I congratulate you on having a pope as an alumni. Not many universities can say that. Certainly no American university.
No American university can. So we are the first one. So I look forward to that, like, who are your famous alums? Well,
yeah.
Leo
That's going to be the top of the list. Sorry to everybody else who graduated from Villanova. You are not quite as important. I look forward to next year's commencement address. It'll be a hot ticket, I'm sure.
So do I. I'm going to work on that right now. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us.